Hello, welcome back to Wallacast, a podcast where we discuss English dubbed anime and the voice actors who work on them. I'm Lauren Salter.
I'm Matt Walker, and today's show is going to be the mega hit Kill La Kill.
Matt's favorite.
It's a favorite. Not my all-time favorite, but it's a favorite.
He talks about it a lot, so I would say it's his favorite.
It's a fun show, okay? You can't deny that.
Nope, I'm not gonna.
Just so y'all know, please stay tuned after our little portion, because we do have a wonderful interview with David Vincent. That'll be after that, so get excited. Okay, so yeah.
Hop right in, shall we?
Kill La Kill. So, again, quick pitch. It's 25 episodes, produced by Aniplex of America. It is by Studio Trigger. It is their first big show. These guys are a creative team formerly of Gainax. You'll know them from Gurren Lagann is their most famous project. Some of them worked on like Evangelion, lots of the Gainax big projects. And Kill La Kill is their sort of tour de force entry into the anime world under their own studio.
I think it worked.
Yeah, I'd say so. But yeah, it still keeps their typical style. Like I said, if you've seen Gurren Lagann, you know sort of the style of this show. It is available on Netflix, right? But it's only the sub, if I remember right.
It is available on Hulu with the dub.
Hulu's got the dub. I own
it. But Netflix is, yes.
I own it, so I don't have to worry about that. I did splurge and pay for all 5 volumes. So expensive, but still.
4? 1 was a gift.
That's true. I only paid for 4, you're right.
Haha.
Thank you for that.
I paid for 1, if it wasn't clear.
It was the second one, right?
I think so. I think it was Christmas.
It's the one with Mako on it. That's how I remember it.
Yeah. It was a Christmas present.
Anyway, the sort of premise of the show, if you could even explain it, is basically...
Girl seeks father's killer.
Yeah, that's the start, and you've got superpowered clothing. That's all you need to know. Go forth, watch, and enjoy.
Because here there be spoilers.
Yep, from here on out, big spoilers. There's a lot to spoil in this show, actually. There's some interesting twists, so...
Yeah, that's true. Well, I guess we didn't go over the cast list, but we'll touch on that as we go.
Well, yeah, I was actually going to probably start with the ridiculous all-star cast of the show.
Yay! Who do you want to start with? Because I'm sure I have things to say about
everybody.
All of them.
No, just kidding.
Everybody at once. Woohoo!
Oh, also, before I forget, is directed by Alex Von David, who I would say is one of the top 3 ADR directors, I think, in the biz, especially on the LA side.
Top 3 as far as quality?
I think
or as far as volume?
Quality. Yeah. I don't actually think he would be all that high in volume.
Yeah.
Come to think of it. But anyway. So yeah, shout out to Alex. I love his work.
Yep.
If you've seen Erased, SAO, many others.
Well, I guess we should start with the protagonist. Well, the lead protagonist, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I know you always like to talk about her.
Yes.
So, Erica Mendez, let's start.
I heart Erica Mendez so much. She is my all-time favorite voice actor, so I'm going to be super biased here.
That's right.
And this is essentially the show that made her that way in my head, and obviously... She even acknowledges that this is kind of her breakout role.
Mm-hmm.
She was Aladdin in Boggy, The Labyrinth of Magic, which was obviously a lead and a great role. That show is relatively obscure compared to Kill La Kill, and I feel like this role really gave her a lot to do. And it's funny because she either plays, much more commonly than this kind of role, either boys or cutesy girls, like Nico, which has her own little thing, but she plays a lot of... cuter characters, but I still feel like this sort of rough and tumble punk badass is her, like, best thing. Not necessarily all the time. She's definitely had some more dramatic and more, I don't know what you'd call it, realistic, I guess, roles.
Yeah.
Like in Lull in the Sea, that she did amazing at. But
Yuna.
Yeah, but I still never get tired of hearing her put on this kind of voice.
Yeah.
She does a little bit of this kind of style with Gon in Hunter x Hunter, which I like hearing whenever he gets super serious, which doesn't happen too often. But yeah, I like that she has the kind of gravelly, kind of growliness sometimes in her line deliveries. Whenever she gets really mad or intense, it's amazing. Whenever she calls someone a bitch, which is numerous times, I absolutely adore it. It was an interesting note, if anyone doesn't know, she was actually not cast as Ryuko originally. She was cast as Mataro, the younger brother of Mako. Again, little boys, but basically they were getting long in the casting and still didn't have a Ryuko, and Alex had the inspiration to say, hey, you read for this. And basically the rest is history.
Yeah, I would say that word. She has so much intensity in this role.
Yes.
I love it when she's doing her transformation and she yells, Kamui Senketsu! And it's just so it's intense, but it's so sharp and clear, and it's like for some reason just that line always kind of got me whenever she did it, because it just sounded not, I wouldn't say natural, because I've heard her speak in her natural tone, but it just is so powerful, I guess, and I love hearing that. That,
and anytime she has any sort of like smack talk against the enemy, like that, all those deliveries are just on point. And again, when she really gets angry, or, you know, gets her as Senegas might say, her blood starts to boil, those are the lines. It's like, whoa, okay, I would not be messing with this person. And
then you have that sharp contrast to her quieter moments, especially with Mako, just like this.
Oh yeah,
and with Senketsu even. The quieter, calmer, more loving side of Ryuko, which I love that we see too.
Which is why why also Ryuko is one of my favorite characters, because you have so many facets to this character, and that she can be the punk and rebel, and, you know, the I don't give a crap about anybody person, and I'm not gonna take anything. But also, super loving friend to Mako and Senketsu, and can have those vulnerable moments.
Yeah, she's so good. And plays off very well with her counterpart, Kari Kuranen, who plays Satsuki Kiryuin.
A.k.a. Satsuki Mato?
Yeah, I guess that's true. Well, half and half.
Ryuko Kiryuin? No. Yeah, so this is one of the big reveals, is of course these two former rivals are actually sisters.
Oh yeah, major spoiler alert.
Yeah, well, you had it before.
That's true.
Which, I will say that I did not exactly see that coming.
See, I don't remember. So this is my second rewatch of it. Second watch, I guess. My first rewatch of the show. This was a very early one for me. And I think because you wanted me to hear Erica Mendez.
Yeah, that's mostly it.
But it was so early in my anime watching that I didn't understand it, because it's such a parody show that everything I was just like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it's true. It was probably not the best show to do at that time, but it is... And I feel like every time I watch it, I find more and more things that it's making fun of, or just trying to kind of lambast.
Yeah. So I wish I could say that the reveal was a surprise. I just don't really remember it. I remember this one felt a lot like the first viewing, like a lot of the shows that we've talked about, actually. I just don't remember, experiencing the shock and surprise. So you'll have to talk about that.
That's okay. Anyway, back to Kari.
Yay.
Yeah. You've got a person who is also can be equally as intense as Ryuko, which I love. Got the line where she's sort of first putting Junketsu on is one of my favorite deliveries in the entire show, I think. Like, it's like, that is tense as hell.
She's an intense character. Yeah. She's very focused.
Again, an atypical role for this actor. She tends to play either sort of the mature adult, or again, kind of a more soft-spoken character. So it's really interesting that they went, yeah, I think that's a good idea for this one. Obviously, she would have read for it and probably blew it out of the water. But if you had followed her career before this, you probably would have been, really? But hey, it works extremely well.
Again, I think she is the main actor who was in, like, a majority of the first maybe 5 or 6 shows that you showed me.
Yeah, by a weird coincidence.
By weird coincidence. So I heard her as Maya before this. I heard her as Mommy, I think, before this.
And, Seto.
And Seto, yes. And then I had this, and it was just a whole other side of her, which I love. And this, I think, is probably my favorite role of hers.
Yeah, it's still mine, by far. Like, I go back and forth. Like, I really like Seto a lot as a smaller character, and she does a lot of good things with that role, but there's just so much to Satsuki. You know, she's normally very, very flat, and I'm always in control, and I'm the boss, and I never waver. But then, when she gets in fights, or she starts the big scene with Ragyo at the school during it's not really the mid-season, I guess.
Kind of is.
Kind of mid-season finale, a little later than mid-season, but basically the Act 1 finale.
It's the point in the musical where it's like the midway through the second act where goes down.
Yeah, there you go.
That's this.
That was also one that I was like, okay, yeah, didn't see that betrayal coming.
Yeah, that's true. I do remember that.
That was a shock.
Because when she gets out, I was like, oh, shoot, okay, got it.
Because they really, I feel like they do give you some subtle hints about possibly Ryuko and Satsuki having at least a deeper past and things like that. But, I definitely didn't get I didn't get a sliver of idea that this whole thing was a giant plot to take down her mom.
And it's really cool, I will say, watching it this time around, because I knew that. That's all I remembered. I didn't remember the reveal. But being able to watch the hints and the setup for it was so cool, because I was like, oh, you're totally planning this, Satsuki, and I love it! Because there are some really subtle drops and hints that she's going to do something, or that she has an ulterior motive.
Yeah,
which
but
is awesome.
You almost never would see them your first watching.
No, I don't think so at all.
Yeah, I those two characters like make the show in a lot of ways. Not that a lot of the side characters are great, but I would watch a show with just them.
Yeah. Speaking of Ragyo, I don't think I've ever heard Laura posted anything like this. I personally have not, which is so cool.
She has a sort of similar role in Hyperdimension Neptunia, though not nearly as good.
She is just...
That's the only one that comes to mind. I feel like maybe there's another few, but...
Ragyo is one of those roles that just makes me so impressed with these actors and what they do in their jobs. Because she's... I mean, I've heard Laura do a lot of different shows, but they're all very soft-spoken and mature and sexy and all this. And you take a character like Ragyo, who is all of those things, but bigger, and it just is so impressive that she can hold this type of intensity for, you know, however many takes that she did to get Ragyo.
Side note, I feel like saying this, but bigger, could describe anything in this show.
That's true. I think you actually described the show as that. Is it going to
be like that? Yeah, that, but bigger.
I'm pretty sure you said, the show is kind of, you know, it's like a magical girl show, sort of, or like, this and this,
it steals
but
from a million
bigger.
genres, yeah. That's what these guys do with this kind of show, is I'm sure we'll talk about this in more detail later, but they take genre tropes and magnify them so much to the realm of ridiculousness. But I feel like unless you're just a sourpuss, boring person, like, you just go with it, and it's just an amazing, wild ride. Yeah,
it's pretty great.
Even if it is just totally ridiculous.
Yeah.
I have a note here that, like, is there any more perfect role for Patrick Seitz? But in parentheses, ouch, his vocal cords.
Yeah.
I feel like I can't imagine he didn't leave some of those sessions with some pain.
The only thing I want to say, well, not the only thing, but the main thing I want to say about Gamagori is, oh my gosh, I ship him with Mako so hard.
I feel like that's
But I also ship Mako and Ryuko, so
right?
It's
a very hard
problem.
thing.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's just big. Very big. Everything is so big.
Everything is yelled. Gamagori yells almost everything, which I love.
Yeah. I love that he is so dedicated to Satsuki. I just love it. He's so loyal. And I don't know. I think his interactions with Mako are my favorite.
I think him and Nonon are my favorite of the Elite Four. I almost said Big Four. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Big Four.
Yeah, and he just fits that so much. He does those great intense but like funny intense male roles like perfectly. Though obviously we know he can play more soft spoken as well. But
and yeah, you are a big fan of Sarah Williams in general.
Yes. Yeah, she's one of my go-to, like, if you ask me who are your underrated, underappreciated voice actors, I feel like Sarah Williams is almost always toward the top of that list. Because Nonon Jakuzade is great. I have a note here that said, if they ever made Smug Wendy into an actual anime, Sarah Williams has to play her. Because to me, she does the smug anime girl better than anybody.
She has the tone of voice to do the droll, like, flat sarcasm. I love it.
And just the arrogant, like, looking down your nose at these peasants is just perfect.
Yep.
But then she also has a few of those roles where she gets really mad. And I remember the end of, I forget what episode number it is, but it's during her first fight with Ryuko, and it's basically when Ryuko starts to turn the tide, and it ends with, something like, I'm gonna get you, you bitch. Yeah. And it's so, like, again, it's like, whoa, okay, yeah. I would not want to mess with this person.
Nope.
Yeah, she plays the sort of, smug, but also can be kind of nasty sort of character very well. And I never get tired of hearing her, and I always wish she was cast in more things. Okay,
so I know that Christine Cabanos is known a lot for Madoka.
Of course.
But is there really a better role for her than Mako?
I have the same note. Is there any more perfect role for Cabanos than Mako?
Because this role, I love Madoka as a show, as a whole, but Mako is, I mean, as far as comedic characters go, she is up at the top for me. And this is the juiciest role that, I don't know, it just is, there's so much to it, and she nails it every time. I don't think there's ever a spot where she falters.
Yeah, I think some of it is, like, she just feels so in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't feel like she's putting on any sort of, like, performance, really. It's just like, yeah, this is just how this person is all the time.
Yep.
100%. They take everything they say totally serious, which is why Mako is hilarious.
Yeah. It's just the amount of energy that she brings. It's such a juxtaposition to a lot of the other characters. Because it does get very serious, and it's over the top, but in a different way. And then when Mako comes on, it's like a breath of fresh air every time. And she's so funny. Her comedic timing is just on point.
Yeah, Mako is definitely the highlight of the show as far as comic relief and just ridiculousness like that, and all of her little the hallelujah scenes. Yeah, those are always just like, wait, what? I feel like they just been like, animate whatever you want. We don't even care. We'll make it work.
There's a moment later on when the Hallelujah theme comes on, but Mako's pretty beat up, so it kind of does that, like, flat...
Yeah, I remember that.
The flatness of the music, and it just fits in so perfectly.
Yeah, there are some really good, really smart sound cues in this one as well, like that. Well, we'll talk to him later, but what about David as Kamui Senketsu?
I feel like among all of the girls in this, there's not I feel like it's hard to think about the men in the show. Of course, we've already talked about Gamagori. And then you get David Vincent, who every time he has a line, he delivers it so well. And I feel like there's not a lot for Senketsu to do, and he really makes it happen.
Yeah, I in my head, David will always be associated with, like, Gilgamesh and Grimmjow, these sort of arrogant, rough and tumble warrior kind of types. But then you get Senketsu, who can be actually quite tender at a lot of times.
Yeah.
He has some of these more, like, intimate moments, and the register kind of drops, and it's like, oh, and of course, at the end, like, would you ever think you'd be sad when a sentient piece of clothing died? Because I didn't, but oh my god, that was so sad.
Yeah.
And then whenever he lectures Ryuko,
yep.
Like, he's got that, I can just see him, like, wagging his finger in the booth.
Yeah.
Like, it seems so perfect for that.
Yeah. He has, both sides of the scale, again, the tenderness and then the intensity. And hearing that, he's always great. I don't think I've ever heard a role that I don't like David in.
No.
Well, that's pretty much the cast.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple more, obviously. Matt Mercer as Mikitsugi is just so ridiculous. Like, wants to make me, like, avert my eyes. And Tsumugu for Keiji Tang is very much in his wheelhouse, certainly.
Yeah.
It feels like Archer kind of all over again.
Yeah, very much so. Mako's family.
Yeah. Erica as the mom. I can't remember her name, actually. is again very much in her standard wheelhouse as well.
Got my Christina V fix.
Ben Diskin has quite a few characters, but Takarada is his big one, which, I mean, I think you can argue there may be issues with the choice of how they wanted to portray his voice, but he definitely nails the one they chose. Like, it just is like that accent is really ridiculous, but it kind of works for the slummy, basically crime lord pimp guy they were going with.
Yeah, I still don't like him.
I mean, I don't think you're supposed to like Takarada.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But
whenever he says Takarada books, and he's got that weird I was like, that's a nice little touch. I think one of the other big things, and what sets this team Trigger and when they were at Gainax apart, is their animation style. If you don't realize it's them, you probably know their style even if you don't realize it. That it does have a little bit...
It's like sharp edges.
Yeah, it's very sharp. It's a little more, almost you could say cartoony in some ways.
Yeah.
But once if you're okay with that style, which I actually start to like a lot, you realize how really awesome a lot of their animation actually is, because there's always something happening and there's a ton of movement, which until you really start to look, you don't realize how little there is in a lot of shows. Even big action shows, they save it all for one sort of big clump, and they obviously spend a lot of time and effort on that, and usually looks really good. But often that's only like 15 seconds or so.
Yeah.
But this one, you get fights that drag out for minutes, and they have, sweeping camera angles and tons of movement, and even just like scenes where you wouldn't need a lot. You have people moving around and doing things other than standing and talking.
Yeah. It's almost like they just wanted to show what they could do, which I love.
It could be part of that, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they were using CG effects that I think worked pretty well. Again, this is to sort of let them move, so the characters move in a moving environment, which you can't really do because obviously you got static backgrounds in normal animation. So you can only extend those so far, but you've got, I remember when like Satsuki in the first fight between her and Ryuko, is like sort of running up onto Ryuko after a big hit, and you have her like walking up a building while the camera is like spinning around her.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not an easy thing to do, and it looks awesome. Like you definitely get this, oh my god, she's a train that's never gonna stop.
And I feel like that just helps the show, if it's unnecessary movement, that's necessary for the show.
Yeah, it works in this show where it shouldn't. Yeah, it would feel unnecessary in some other shows, but there's some times where it's like if you take a step back and you look at the show, it's like they are really not doing much in this scene that's supposed to be like high intensity.
Yeah.
So like if they're talking, they're also moving and talking. They're also doing things and talking. It's not all right, stand face to face and do a speech for 3 or 4 minutes to pad the runtime, and so we don't have to keep animating this. They're like, nope, we're gonna keep doing it. And I love the cuts to the sort of rough, I don't know what you'd call them, but like they're almost like a rough sketch kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where it looks like it's drawn in like colored pencil or pen or something like
Lots
that.
Lots of end of scene or end of fight type things.
Yeah, or just anytime there was a really intense moment, they would cut to that.
Yeah.
And like that works really well, and I actually wish I would see that more often, because it does serve to just sort of punch that moment up even one more notch, and it's like, oh, that's really cool looking, and I would love to have some of those actually. Okay, speaking of animation, the fight scenes.
Yes.
Aren't those awesome?
They're pretty great.
Come on.
Yeah. As far as action sequences go, and I mean, it's Aniplex. It's probably that, because I was going to say Madoka and Fate Zero.
I mean, they seem to get a lot of those shows.
Yeah.
But then there are others that still have really good fight scenes. But I feel like this one, like you said, they're very dynamic, and they have like an intensity about them. Like anytime they do those, like it looks like a soft hit, but all of a sudden something behind them is like exploded.
Yep, I love those. And then they go flying. Great. It's so over dramatic, and I love it.
Like both. I feel like the main ones are both big fight scenes between, or actually you can say 3. The 3 big fight scenes with Ryuko and Satsuki are just like, I like the ones where Ryuko fights the big 4. Of course, those are really fun. But those are they're so intense. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you've got like in the first one, they cause like an implosion.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous.
Yep.
One where they're fighting in Osaka, and of course, like the final one where they swap Kamuis.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
so good.
So yeah, I love it. I could watch those over and over and over again.
I love the how they don't ignore the destruction of Osaka.
Mm-hmm.
They mention it and they bring it up, and it's a big deal. And I'm glad that, because so many other shows, they destroy a town and that's it.
Yeah, I do. I often like things like, man, you guys caused a lot of destruction.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, how are they going to rebuild that? Who's going to clean that up?
Yep, absolutely.
But no, those are one of the, like, that's one of the things I try to sell people on the show is like, if you want amazing fight scene, this is a show for you.
Yep, it's a pretty good one.
All right. How about the soundtrack?
Mm.
I mean, really, you only have to talk about one song if you want to.
Before My Body's Right? Yeah. That's one of the most played songs on my anime soundtrack, probably.
I feel like it just, every time they play it, whether it's the instrumental version, where you've got the horns doing the big moment, or the actual vocal, the vocal version where you actually hear, Don't Lose Your Way.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it's so perfectly timed, and always just, it's so hyping to hear that.
Yeah. It's a pump-up song.
Yes, every time.
I used to play it before my workouts. Because especially those first couple chords, you're like, yeah, I feel pumped up, let's go!
And it is what Erica Mendez will write on your thing that she signs. If it's Kill la Kill.
Yep, it's true. We have proof.
Yes, I have multiple proofs.
Yeah. Which I love. I love that she's kind of taken that as a mantra for these signings and run with it.
Well, and she's talked about in panels that like that is kind of become a mantra for her. That you're that like don't lose your way. You just keep going, push through. It's gonna be okay.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I like being able to take something like that out of a show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wrote it down. It's Hiroyuki Sawano is the main composer for this soundtrack video. He does a whole bunch of really good stuff, and definitely up there, I would say, with like Kajiura and Kano as one of the better composers for soundtracks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny how many sort of reprieves and reimaginings the one song gets when you start to listen to it. Like you'll hear just like a little, like a guitar like plucking at the melody of Before My Body Is Dry, or in like more softer, tender scenes. Like it's all over the place.
Yeah, and I love that about a piece. If you can compose it to do that, it's so good.
Like a lot of the sadder moments, you'll hear it like just they switch it to a minor key and just slow it way down, and all of a sudden it's this great.
Yep. And it still works.
It works perfectly.
Yeah.
I will say, comparatively, I'm not really super amazed at either the openings and endings. Like, they're not my favorites.
No, that one really sticks out. So it kind of...
I don't know, like, they don't fit the show as well as they could, I feel like.
I have a hard time with endings and openings because I tend to skip them. Yes, I am that person. But if you watch it a couple times, I don't feel the need, except for maybe something like Flip Flappers that actually kind of tells a story through the ending or through the opening. I don't know. It's the same song, and I don't want to listen to it, so I kind of skip it.
If the song is good enough, I can definitely count on one hand the shows I've almost always watched the opening because I like the song enough. Like Death Parade. Death Parade. Gotcha. The first season of Gotcha Men Crowds is one of those. But yeah, these just like I don't know. I was a little let down by those.
Yeah,
they're fine, but they're not what I would want for this
it's
kind
not
of show.
Iconic, I guess.
Yeah.
Like,
though I will say,
like the insert
the animations, especially for the second opening, are great. I don't often really think about the animations during the opening sequences all that often, but I actually really like watching, especially the second one. Even though the song is kind of whatever. Which reminds me, like, I love how all computers are like Game Boy-esque computers. Like they're that slightly green-gray screen with the very pixelated.
Yeah.
Like that's just like a funny touch. It's like, oh, these guys just don't have modern computers, right? In this universe, it's just very old school LCD screens. So one of the things that gets brought up in this show is, of course, the outfits, especially of the Kamuis, and how they are very revealing. Yep. And there is a very large debate around the internets on whether Kill la Kill is a sort of pro-feminist show. And the obvious argument is how strong their female characters tend to be and how fleshed out they are, versus obviously the opposite, because obviously, they're dressed in very revealing shows. And honestly, I don't think there is a definitive answer to that debate, because obviously both of those things are true.
Correct, yeah. So my biggest issue isn't so much the revealing nature of the costume, it's the transformation into them. I think, I know that it's parody, and I know that they're doing this big for a reason. When you have jiggling breasts moving with the wind, that's... That doesn't happen. Physics, you guys. And no, I don't care if it's an anime or not.
Yeah, that is a reference to their former home at Gainax. That was one of their, for better or for worse, their signature animation techniques, I guess you could say.
I don't see that as an excuse whatsoever. No. So for me, I think, like you said, there's no definitive answer as far as I think it could be a very pro-positive feminist show. A very good show for girls and women to watch if it weren't for the transformation sequences and the costumes and the camera shots, really, the angles. Because again, the costume isn't the problem for me much. It's the shots that they have and the nature of how they have camera angles at sometimes. Because, yes, I know the nudist colony doesn't wear clothes, blah, blah, blah. But they don't have a transformation sequence that shows a flopping penis. So, it's, for me...
True, though, I guess you could argue that those are sort of Well, A, that's illegal in Japan, so they couldn't even do that if they wanted to.
So why? I mean, I don't understand why that's illegal and having flashing breasts aren't.
Just the law covers genitals, not anything else, basically.
Yeah, see, again, I think that's silly because, I mean, a woman's breast is also an organ, and it's, I don't know, a reproductive organ, I should say, and it just, for me, that's unequal, is if you can't show that for men, don't show it for women. They have that shot in the transformation where, the kamuis go right up into,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm talking about. And it's just like, okay, that could be considered overly sexual. Well, it is overly sexual, but because it's covered, I use air quotes for that, it's not illegal. I don't think that's right. And I think that's probably what gives me the biggest issue with this, is those kind of shots aren't distributed equally. If they were, I maybe wouldn't have such an issue.
Yeah, I guess it would be hard to do that. I mean, if you wanted to actually show, like you said, the male version, because they can't.
Right.
Can't even do that in America, actually. I guess you could do it for the Blu-ray, but you couldn't do it on TV, that's for sure.
So I just don't understand.
I will say, yeah, if you're talking about the transformation, they don't. I will say, obviously you shouldn't take that out, but we're like, barring that, they do get a pretty similar treatment. I mean, you get pretty pretty intense camera angles on Mikitsugi a lot of times. Yes,
but you don't see, I don't know, you don't have the, the butt shots, the panty shots.
Oh, you totally do. And I don't know.
Not as many.
Maybe, but
no.
I don't. That's
See,
fair, but...
I don't know. I mean, I don't think you get as many. So as far as it being,
definitely got some of those.
As far as it being a feminist show, I think the story that is prevalent between two sisters, two powerful women, could be so amazing if it weren't for the transformations. With me, if you take out the transformations, it'd be fine for me.
Yeah, I can see that. I think there's more to it too, though. But I think part of that is also, again, these guys' MO is to take a trope and sort of magnify it so much that you can't help but look at it. And I think that's a good thing too, because there's a lot of shows that do this in a more subtle manner that I think a lot of people just accept and don't even talk about it. But now you have to talk about it.
Yeah, they're still not. For me, it's still not okay. So that's my side of it. I'm trying to look through the cast and see if there's anybody we missed.
Stephanie.
Oh, yeah.
Nui Harime.
Nui. That could be, because I love talking about an overpowered villain.
I feel like Stephanie is born to play cutesy crazy girls.
Cutesy crazy. Oh, I think because I had played a game or watched another show that had a super... Oh, no, it was the newest Avengers movie, the Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
A super powerful villain that just can't really be defeated. It's that... And then I watched this and I was like, oh man, there's another one. I don't know.
I just this reminds me of Elia, of course.
Yeah.
And I love those roles psycho. For her. And I remember the moment I always remember is when her arms get cut off. And she just has my arms. She just freaks out for the first time because she's very cocky before that.
Kind of makes you wish that it is but a scratch.
Yeah.
A flesh wound.
It is kind of a moment like that.
I like that brings her down a peg, so to speak.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, she was the villain you all just wanted, kind of loved to hate.
Yeah.
More so than Ragyo, I feel like.
I guess so, because there was nothing more than I wanted in this character to.
Well, especially because she's the one that killed Ryuko's dad.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to see Ryuko kick the crap out of her.
Ugh, she's so smug about it too.
Exactly.
Ugh.
I really like Nui, not in a way not like I like her, but I like the fact that I don't like her in a way. I like that it elicits not a gross dislike response that some characters do, but just oh my god, I hate you so much, and this is kind of awesome.
Just want you to get your ass kicked right now.
Yeah. It's you're so smug and annoying. You pop up all the time.
It's whenever you don't expect her, she shows up. Even God damn it!
Even her powers are annoying, cloning herself and being 2-dimensional. It's really,
literally 2-dimensional.
Yeah. It's oh my god. I feel like I can feel the pain of the characters trying to beat her. It's oh my god, I wasn't with this person.
Just die already. Boy, you don't wish that on people much.
No. I feel like the one performance that maybe wasn't up to par with the rest if I had to pick out one, was Grant George as Sanagayama, the kendo wielding blind guy.
Yeah.
Like, he was okay, but I don't know, a lot of his lines just didn't quite land for me.
He was one of the characters who I just was underwhelmed whenever he was on the screen.
Yeah, he's the most boring of the Elite Four, that's for sure. Like, Inamuta is kind of fun because he's nerdy and dorky, but and he's got some funny quips here and there. But yeah, it's like Sanagayama, I could do without. You're again, compared to the others, especially Nonon and Gamagori, it's like
just underpowered too.
Meh. Yeah, like I don't know. Maybe this was on purpose, but like I feel like they might have been trying to be like making fun of like the edgy swordsman character in a lot of shows, because that's kind of how he felt. It's like, oh, now I'm blind and I can see everything.
Yeah.
Like, that feels very anime edgy to me in a goofy sort of way. So maybe that's what they were going for, and maybe they didn't quite take that far enough to make it work.
It does seem like you could just take him out and it would still be the same.
Oh, yeah.
You'd have the same story and the same results, and I don't think he would really be missed, that character.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely didn't really look forward to those episodes.
I love, speaking of the parodies, I love them making fun of, like, ridiculous names for things.
I like that they flashed it every time they mentioned it.
But the one that I remember the most is actually toward the beginning. It's the boxing club president. His move name or the name of his like Goku universe is like, it's like super long, and like I feel like that has to be a jab at just every sort of like character in an action anime, especially like the shonens are like, I'm gonna tell you the name of my special move or my armor or my whatever.
It must be. That was one touch I really liked. I liked when everybody introduced themselves, no matter how many times they did it, they always had
oh my god, yes.
The words.
That's gotta be making fun of that too, because I feel like in anime people introduce themselves way more than they need to.
Because Mako had a million of them, which was awesome.
But yeah, almost everyone, it's or someone would introduce someone else who we totally know, and everyone on screen should know who this is.
Yeah.
Like, you're talking to Satsuki. Of course we are. We know who Satsuki is. She's the leader of the... Yeah, I know.
Yep. Check.
Yeah. I'm Ira Gamagori, chair of the disciplinary committee, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, yes.
We know.
Yeah, that was... again, I love... All the parody moments are fantastic. And yeah, you don't get the most out of the show without being up on your anime tropes, that's for sure.
I definitely caught a lot more this time, obviously, because I've seen a lot more shows now. I felt much less in the dark.
There's a great, there's a few nice homages to Gurren Lagann and Gainax. You've got the pose with the crossed arms a couple times. You've got when Ryuko gets Senket's back, it's the scene where it looks like he's gonna cut in half, but he sort of detaches himself.
Mm-hmm.
And she sort of looks like a robot, like coming out of him. That's very Gurren Lagann, / mecha anime reference. Just little things like that throwing that in is really fun. Like I can just imagine like the animator going, "Hey, you know what we could do here? This would be fun.
We've done this before. Let's try it here."
I feel like the creative team was just given a lot of freedom to do whatever they thought would be cool or fun, and they just said, "Yeah, just run with it. Just go, make it big, make it awesome." You have a fight in space at the end, which doesn't make a lot of sense because you should probably need to breathe oxygen, at least to speak, but who cares? It's just whatever. Senket's Kisaragi is too cool.
How do you feel about the incestual moments?
Oh, yeah, those
something
are...
that can be argued as incestual moments.
Yeah, the ones with Ragyo and Satsuki, that's a bit much. That if the transformations were your thing that went over the line, those are what went over the line for me.
I agree. I think this is another instance of you didn't have to do that.
Yeah, that's one that like I have zero justification for. Like I can't even make up an argument for that, really. Like
because it got censored here, I think. I think Toonami
probably
censored it.
I'm
from
sure
the
TV broadcast did. I can't imagine that they didn't. I never actually watched the TV broadcast, so I don't know.
But they're side by side on YouTube.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I cannot imagine that they didn't with fuddy duddy. Even being broadcast at like 1 a.m. or whatever Toonami is, like I can't see them showing some of that stuff. I mean, they called the Sailor Scouts Uranus and Neptune cousins.
Cousins, yeah.
Which doesn't make it better.
No.
But anyway, yeah, that was like, I don't understand that.
I mean,
I don't know who that's supposed to like even if I take away all my arguments for the transformations and it just boils down to like getting horny dudes to watch.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even figure out why that's in there. Like, I get, okay, the transformations and the skimpy outfits can attract those kind of people, but like, are people really into that? I don't think they are.
The answer is yes.
Are they?
Yeah. There's a lot of fanfic and all of this and just fan art and stuff like that. People have weird fetishes.
It's especially the mother-daughter thing. Like, I feel like I still wouldn't be, like, happy with it, but I'd be more okay if it was, like, sisters than it would be mother-daughter. Like, the age gap and the maturity gap and just that's a whole other level of creepy.
That's abuse right there. That's taking advantage of power and...
Yeah, pretty much. Like, that's...
I mean, it is. Again, where it's like, okay, why did you need that?
If I could take anything out, it would be that.
Yeah, I agree.
I will say that. Like,
because it didn't, again, if you take it out, there's no...
Yeah, it doesn't change very much anything.
No, it doesn't change the story at all. It just feels like, oh, okay, we're just gonna have this for weird fans who, I don't know.
And it's not like they made Satsuki out, or not Satsuki, Ragyo out to be some, like...
hypersexual...
Exactly, like, she doesn't, like touch, Homaru in any weird way. I don't think she does she?
She touches a couple people in a very sexual way, but she doesn't have the same fixation as she does with Satsuki, which is kind of, that's where it's like, if you have this character that's overly sexual and she does this to multiple people, fine.
You have more of a justification at least, yeah.
But it's, first of all, it's your daughter. Second of all, it's one girl who happens to be her daughter as well, and it's just, that's icky. That's icky. Poor Satsuki. She's such... I really grew to love her so much because I think because I knew what was going to come, so I was able to kind of see the motivations more.
Yeah, I like Satsuki more and more almost every rewatch.
Yeah, because she really is a bitch to start, and then but once you've seen it and you know what's going on, you're like, oh, I just love you.
Yeah, you're actually a good person.
She has such a heart, and I love that you get to see that later. And I really appreciated her a lot more this time, which I love.
Yeah. I will say one of my highlights of all con experiences is going to the meet and play with the English cast of Kill la Kill at Anime Expo in 2000. What was the year before
15,
we went? 15.
Yeah. And
you had Carrie Karanen in full transformed Junkets cosplay, leading us all in the "Fear is Freedom" chant. Like, that was just awesome.
I love it when actors cosplay like that, and they just get into it. Yeah. It is my favorite thing.
Which is funny because they had, like, cosplayers, like, being sort of, like, the sort of, like, backgrounds, and they led them on. But it's like, Satsuki, like, Carrie clearly didn't need that.
I love it. I love that. It's probably one of my favorite things.
But that was still by far one of my favorite panels of all time.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen it, go Google the blooper reel. People have recorded it from that little thing, and it's pretty hilarious. Like, I don't always go for some of the planned bloopers.
Yeah.
Though some of those are funny. But a lot of the actual bloopers in this one are really hilarious.
I still maintain that actual bloopers are far funnier. I know that they do the inserted ones for, those fans, but I always just I wish they could just do the true blooper reel of actual bloopers, because I think those are a lot funnier.
If you watch it, one of them is sort of out of context, but if you actually were at the panel, you would get a bigger laugh about this. Because Alex Von David, who was kind of the MC, who was also, again, ADR director, talked about how whenever Erica Mendez would screw up a line, she would have this, like sort of growly noise that she would make. She's like... And so, of course, you got one of those inserted in there, which got a big laugh. But, like, if you just watch it without context, it's kind of like, okay, moving on. But yeah, apparently that's what Erica Mendez does whenever she flubs a line. She just kind of growls at herself, which I think is kind of endearing.
I love it. What is the one that Christine does? Is it where she's trying to say
it's no tardy? Oh, I remember. It's no Tardy's Day. Dang it, because she's not matching with the flaps. Or Patrick Seitz he's got a big speech that he's like, "Oh, not enough oxygen." He just runs out of air.
Those are the best kind of bloopers. Y'all should go watch it because we don't do it justice.
No, not at all. Obviously,
it's awesome.
Yeah, there's quite a few recordings of that, and They didn't say we couldn't record, so I'm counting those as not illegal. Well, before we get into stuff about the show, just wanted to check in with you and see how Unlocked is going.
Unlocked is going terrific.
Awesome.
We are super excited about it. We have an entirely new tech team. We started in April building out our new tech. And so we're very excited. Our team has been working around the clock for our upcoming relaunch of Unlocked. And we are finally going to have Android coming out.
I'm sure that'll be music to many people's ears.
I know, and the thing is everybody has been so patient with us, but it takes a tremendous amount of work to get this done, and it's very, very expensive. So, but we have amassed a just unparalleled team of developers that have been working around the clock building this. So in September, it looks like we're going to have our relaunch of our iOS in the beginning, and then towards the end of September is our target launch for our Android. And in the beginning, you're going to see not much of a difference between our beta, which is what we have now, to our new version. But very shortly after that new version comes out, you're going to see a bunch of really awesome new features being added to the platform that I think everybody is going to love. Because we're opening up to Android now, we're able to bring in a lot more of our colleagues, our voice actor colleagues, our cosplay colleagues, and whatnot to come in and stream. Then we're building out an entirely new area. So basically everybody's going to have the opportunity to stream with each other and upload stuff that they want their friends to see. And then a whole community area, which is what we're very excited about, that we've been working hard on. So and that's just a couple of the features. There's more really, really cool stuff that's coming. But we're excited. We've been working very hard all throughout the summer. We started in spring on this development process, and so we got big things coming for Unlocked.
Awesome.
So stay tuned, stay with us, and boy, do we have some neat stuff coming your way.
Sounds great.
Yeah, good to hear. I'm excited.
Yeah, I know a lot of people, especially in the Facebook group, are going to be very happy to hear
certainly
about everything.
Yeah. I know. The thing is I think about it and how many people have been unable to join us, because literally it's been the majority of our audience has Android.
Yep.
And so the fact that we're finally going to have that available, and now everybody can join us and have this community in one spot, we're just very excited about that. And it's something that I have to give mad props and kudos to our tech team. Peter Lee is actually our CTO. And if anybody's going to be at MatsuriCon this weekend, Bryce is going to be at MatsuriCon in Ohio, next weekend. And Peter Lee is actually going to go with him. So if anybody is listening to this and is going to be at MatsuriCon, when you see, ask Bryce to introduce you to Peter Lee and give him a high five, because he has been stellar with the development of our new version of our platform.
Go, Peter!
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, now we'll get into the show.
Yes.
So, just first to start off, kind of a general question: what was your sort of impressions of your role of Senketsu and the show as a whole? It is a obviously very famous show, a controversial show at times.
Sure. Honestly, like when I first got the audition for the show, I was like, "What on earth is this?" I had no idea. I didn't know what Kill la Kill was. I had never heard of it. I had never seen any of it. And I auditioned for a few characters. I auditioned for, I think, Gamagori and Mikisugi, and then, of course, Senketsu. And I remember looking specifically at Senketsu going, he's a jacket. What kind of a voice can I use for a jacket? And
creative freedom.
Yeah, exactly. Creative freedom. And when you audition for these things, they have a character breakdown on it. And so I was able to, kind of learn a little bit about the character and come up with it. But it wasn't until I had gone to the callbacks before I really started doing any research into the show. And again, I think once I started watching it and learning about the show, I was even more perplexed by it. But I thought it was hilarious.
That was kind of, I guess, my first impression of the show when I started watching it the first time was like, what am I watching?
Yeah.
I mean, that's Trigger in a nutshell.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, wait, what?
And for me, it was so early in my anime watching that it really was like, I didn't understand any of the tropes and anything like that. So it was especially confusing.
Yeah, so many references.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got to attend the meet and play with the English cast at AX. That was 3 years ago, I think now or so.
Yeah, I think it was
with
3 years ago.
Alex as MC.
Oh yeah,
I was I was wondering how it was working with him. He struck me as a director who definitely has a very clear vision of what he wants.
Alex Von David is a stud. Like that dude. He's an amazing director.
Mm-hmm.
And I've known him for years, and I've worked with him for years now. And working with him on Kill la Kill was just a treat. And I have to give him props, and I have to also give the head producer on it. Her name is Hiroe Tsukamoto from Aniplex. And those two together, number one, they're hilarious. But number two, just the amount of professionalism that they bring to the table and the skill that they bring to the table is outstanding. Love working with them both. Alex is just a great director and just an all-around good guy. So I don't have enough good things to say about both of them.
It's pretty clear, as I gain more shows and as people continue to watch, that Alex Von David is one of the top quality directors. I think every show that I've seen from him is just one step ahead of someone else. It's the attention to detail.
The performances he's able to pull out are phenomenal.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And that just it says a lot about his skill level and what he brings to the table as a director, where he is able to look so deep inside what's happening in the script. Mm-hmm. But then also, and one of the things is you have to make sure, and this is one of the things that he is so keen on, is especially doing ADR, you're basically bringing a show to an English-speaking ear, which is a massive audience, but doing it in such a way that it makes sense to an English-speaking ear, because a lot of times the translations don't necessarily sound correct with the way that a normal, a native English speaker will speak. And so Alex has got such a terrific ability to be able to figure out how to make it make sense from the translation to an English-speaking ear, but then also look at how what you say on page 5 of the script is going to affect what is said on page 40. And so he's just really detail-oriented and just has a great vision for any of the projects that he directs, and he certainly brought that to the table for Kill la Kill.
Yeah, you can really tell the level of the attention to detail from him versus potentially other shows that you can tell when that sort of gets passed up sometimes. And not to lay blame or anything. I'm sure it's incredibly difficult, but all of his stuff is fantastic, and you can tell that attention to detail really comes through.
For sure.
Speaking of detail, kind of. So one thing I do remember about Senketsu specifically was there's the blooper reel at the panel, and I remember one of yours was the sort of recap scene that Senketsu has to do. How hard was that to record?
Oh man, that was so much fun. It took us 4 hours to record.
I thought you were going to say it only took 4 takes.
I know, I was going to say that.
God, you're amazing.
Wow. No, I wish. But no, we had to, because I was speaking so fast that we had to literally just break it down into little piece by piece by piece, and then basically put it together. But that's one of my favorite scenes. There are a number of scenes that I'm really fond of in the entire series, but I have to say that recap episode was certainly one of my favorites. I thought it turned out amazingly good, and I thought it was really funny, and I think we captured the sense of humor that the original Japanese had in the series as well, that we wanted to bring to obviously the English speaking ear as well. And so I'm very proud of that. I thought that was one of my favorite scenes that we did.
When I first watched it, I don't have a lot of memory of it because it was not long ago, but I have a lot since then. But I remember, I think Matt had mentioned, this is a recap episode, kind of like egging me on. And I was, being well familiar with Western shows, recap episodes can drag.
I mean, everybody hates recap episodes.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
So even when it's explicitly said in this one, I was like, oh God, here we go. And then it's over in 5 minutes. I'm like, oh, great.
30 seconds.
This is awesome.
That is one of the best parodies of I think anything the show does.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what I love about it too. Is it makes fun of itself, and I think that that's why Kill la Kill became as popular as it did, is because it was tongue in cheek. They are able to make fun of themselves in the series as well, and make fun of the absurdity
Mhm.
Yep.
of what happens in that series.
Yeah, I like that it highlights how many absurd things are present in a lot of anime that people seem to either gloss over or just take for granted. But Kill la
Yes.
Kill brings it to such a high level that you can't help but notice it and laugh and go, "Oh my god, that's so ridiculous." But then you think,
Yeah,
"Oh wait, that's also in that
exactly.
other show I like."
What I really
Yeah, totally. That's one of my favorite things
Mhm.
about it.
what I really enjoy about Kill la Kill as well, and if you wanted to add on to this, is with that level of humor and the level of outrageousness comes a very deep story. I mean, a pretty
Yes.
serious and a great story
Oh.
about
Mhm.
sisters and
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, I have to say, and I'm not going to give away any spoilers for anybody who's listening who hasn't seen it, but I mean, at the very end, good Lord.
yeah,
I mean, I was tearing up, and I did the voice acting for it,
That was going to be
And
one
so,
of my
like,
questions.
and it's just, it was, I mean, it's such an awesome series. It was just so well done, and just being able to laugh at the absurdity of the humor, but at the same time tell a very touching, intimate story as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, and actually that leads into one of my other questions was how was it sort of balancing the humorous moments, but also the more serious moments? Senketsu has quite a few of those, it seems like.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, I'm going to defer and say that I had just an amazing director who did just a wonderful job of really creating the moment in each and every single moment of what was happening. Because a lot of times, and for those of you who are listening who don't necessarily know how anime is dubbed or what ADR is, the animation's already done. And so with Western animation, you go in, you record the voiceover, and then they animate around your voice. With anime, the animation's done in Japan. It's already a finished product. It comes to us, and then it's up to us. And it's an extremely technical form of acting to breathe life into that animation when it's already there, when you have those constraints of timing and lip flap and those types of things that you're matching on screen. And so, going back, so we do it piece by piece by piece. And so it's not like we just do an entire scene. Really, you're doing bit by bit by bit by bit of dialogue. And so, again, that's why I defer to Alex and his ability to go in and really explain to me exactly what's happening in this scene and why it calls for this type of a read and how come this is serious and how come this is, completely absurd and off the wall. So, again, just a great director has the ability to really convey to their actors exactly what's going on in that scene, so that you can bring the right, level of emotion to it.
Yeah, it's got to be such a challenge, and I can't. It bothers me so much when I see online people sort of poo-pooing voice acting as if it's some sort of lesser form of acting, and it's absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's something I'll never understand.
Yeah.
Is people who think that way, they've never tried it.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Go in and give it a shot and see how you do.
Yeah.
Because it is. It's, I mean, honestly, like I hold all of my colleagues in the highest regard. They're some of the most talented people I've ever worked with.
Mhm. It shows.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Besides the recap one, did you have any other scenes that were particularly challenging?
Not challenging, but one that sticks out in my mind that I thought was absolutely hysterical and I loved was in episode 4, where Ryuko takes off to school not wearing him because, remember, he's the sailor uniform that she wears every day, and they're connected when he wears her or when she wears him. But he got left behind, and Mrs. Monkanchok decides that he needs to be washed and ironed. and he thought he was gonna get killed. He's like, "No, Ryuko!" Oh,
Yeah, that was
so good. But he was getting ironed, and so that to me I thought was one of my favorite scenes. And that episode is actually one of my favorite episodes, just because the level of just absurdity in that episode I thought was hysterical.
Yeah, they definitely,
especially when Guts the dog keeps on seeing panties and his nose bleeds and like all that stuff. I'm just like, what on earth? It is so absurd, but it's so funny. You have to laugh at it.
It's the level of humor that just the Monkanchok family brings to the table is just outrageous.
Oh yeah, I mean,
yeah,
Mako has to be one of the greatest humor characters ever made in anime.
Oh, totally. And then also, I think Mrs. Monkanchok, with her just willful, ignorance, is just it cracked me up the whole time.
Well, we kind of were debating the topic of fan service versus empowerment for this show, especially with, Ryuko and Satsuki's costumes.
Mm-hmm.
There's is it actually, the less fabric touching the better, or is it actually fan service? So I kind of wanted to hear your thoughts on that, because Matt and I both have pretty passionate,
strong opinions
about it.
I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest with you. I mean, I think it is, empowering, and it makes sense in the storyline, and with what the creators had envisioned. But I think it's also, I mean, there are just blatant, scenes like butt shots and things like that. Yeah. Is put there just to be funny.
Yeah. Well, do you think that takes away from this deep story of Ryuko and Satsuki, or do you think it?
I don't. I don't. I think it adds to it. I think that just here's the thing, in good storytelling, and this is the reason why anime, I think, is becoming so immensely popular, is because of the storytelling. And good storytelling has all kinds of different levels, and that's what keeps your attention. Because once you get into storytelling and it's just A plus B equals C, you get bored.
Yeah.
And with a show like Kill la Kill, I mean, you have you just have so many multiple levels of what's happening throughout the show that I think it really, and that's the reason why I think that show is so popular and why it's done so well, is just because it keeps all of us so engaged when we're watching it, because we're like, wait, what? Okay, now that makes sense. Okay, wow, I wasn't expecting that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the dynamism and pacing certainly keep you on your toes almost all the time. There's I talked about this in the episode, but there's rarely not something happening. Like, there's not that many scenes of just two people talking.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And if that happens, that doesn't last very long, and then something like breaks that up, and some big thing happens to sort of wake you up.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, I think that's pretty much all we had. Is there anything else you would like to plug to the audience? I know you talked about Matsuri-Con. Obviously, we went over Unlocked.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are August 17th, 2018. So if you guys are in Nebraska, I'm coming to Anime Nebraska. I'm coming to Tsubasa-Con in West Virginia. And I know I'm forgetting another one. Well, possibly. We haven't confirmed that yet, so I couldn't announce it anyway.
All right, well then.
So stay tuned.
Leave that teaser there.
More conventions, convention appearances coming up. Follow me on my Twitter. Is the best way to stay up to date with announcements and things like that. I am at David Vincent VA for voice actor. I just made a big announcement that I am reprising my role as Richter Belmont in Castlevania in the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So stay tuned to my Twitter as I continue to make more announcements. And then please do stay tuned for Unlocked. We're super excited about it. If you have Unlocked now, make sure in the next 4 to 6 weeks, update the app, because we are launching some new stuff with the app. And then our Android friends, I promise you, it's coming. So stay tuned. The September, we're looking towards the end of September for our Android launch, which is something that we're very thrilled about. And then once you guys have it, just keep updating the app, because we're going to be constantly building out new features. Basically, we had to build it back the way it was in order to relaunch it with the Android. Now, once we've got the Android launched, then we're going to be just building new feature after new feature after new feature. So we're super pumped. We're excited to have you guys be a part of it. We'll be making announcements on Anime Unlocked, the Facebook group as well. And follow me on Twitter at David Vincent VA.
Woo! All right. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, thank you for being with us. Thank you for letting us be on the platform as well. It's been really great.
Absolutely. We're thrilled to have you guys on there.
Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We're hoping
absolutely
hoping in the future we can make this into a well, not the whole thing, but when we go to cons, making a live, doing a panel and making a live show.
Yeah, we're hopefully going to do that.
Yep, 100%. We want you guys to do that.
Crossing our fingers for maybe SoccerCon next year.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be amazing.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We had a great time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too, guys. And keep doing what you're doing. We love the Wallacast.
We shall do. Thank you.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks.
Thank you all for joining us once again on Wallacast. A huge thank you to David Vincent for a great interview. As always, if you want to follow us, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and of course, Wallacast.com. And we are available on all your favorite podcasting apps. Come back for next episode where we talk No Game, No Life in honor of the prequel movie's upcoming home video release. Okay, folks, that's it for today's episode. A reminder that things may get rough out there. You may have to get a little reckless, but always remember,
don't lose your